Hi, this is Bill Breeden, and I'm going to show you how to convert a record to a CD and then finally to an MP3. If you're like me, you've got lots and lots of records. For example, this James Moody album, Last Train from Overbrook. It's a good record, but I don't have it on CD or MP3 format. And it'd be nice to be able to listen to records that I own in the car or in an iPod or an MP3 player. So there's lots of ways you can do it. You can buy a turntable that has a USB cord, lets you connect it right to a computer, or you can just use a home stereo like this one and get yourself a CD recorder like either one of these. I've got a Pioneer and a Tascam CD recorder, and either one of these can do the trick. I've got both of them connected so I can actually record from one to the other. But you only need one, actually. You'll also need a turntable, obviously, if you're going to record a record. So, and what you do is you connect your CD recorders as if they're tape decks. Now, I've actually got an old cassette deck up here, and cassette decks have two sets of left and right connectors, one for in and one for out. So do CD recorders. You see them down here. I'm going to try to get in here. Your CD recorder has a line in left and right and a line out left and right. And you're going to connect them to your receiver just like you would a tape deck. In fact, you might have to actually use your tape in and out left and right connections for that. So that's what I've done. And obviously your turntable has to be connected to your receiver. It just has its left and right outputs. Turntables also require a phono preamp, either a separate unit or one built into the receiver. If your receiver is old enough, it will have a phono connection built in with a built-in preamp, which mine does have. If you have a newer receiver, it probably does not have a phono preamp. So what you want to do is once you get that connected, you want to get a erasable CD, and I use these TDK CD-RWs. Now, why is it important that they're erasable? Well, you make mistakes, and CDRs are not forgiving at all. If you make a mistake on a CDR, you got to throw it away and start again. Whereas with an erasable CD, you don't. So we're going to put the CD erasable into, I'm going to use the Tascam CD recorder. And they'll all read the table of contents, TOC. All of them will do that if you've got a CD recorder. So if you already got something on it, you want to erase it. So hit the erase button. An erase button right here. And tell it, yes, I'm sure. While that's erasing, go ahead and put your record on. I'm going to record James Moody's Last Train from Overbrook. Obviously, I'm not going to play the whole record on this video. I'm just going to start it for you. I'll show you how to start the process. Now remember, your turntable is connected to your receiver, but so is your CD recorder. So this is the critical step that lets you capture your record on CD. Put your record on. Now once your CD is erased, you want to hit record, and you want to make sure your CD recorder is selected for an analog input. Here's your input select. I've selected analog, so it records whatever's output from the receiver. In this case, it's going to be the turntable. Make sure your receiver, you've selected phonograph or turntable, so that what you hear recording onto the CD is the output from the record. Lower your tone arm and hit play. start the recording process. Watch your levels. Volume doesn't matter, but your levels matter. You want to keep your levels on your recorder so that your peak level never hits the red. If it hits the red, you're going to have distortion, so you don't want to hit the red. So now that your record has been started, as each song ends, you want to hit the record key between songs. That will number your tracks. This is an analog source, so your recorder doesn't know where one song ends and the next one begins. So as soon as that song ends, you want to hit record. When the whole side is over, you want to hit the ready, or on some CD recorders it'll be a pause button. That'll pause recording so you can turn the record over. Okay? Now, I'm gonna go ahead and finish recording this, and then I'll join you for part 2 and show you how to take the CD that I've created and put it in the computer and duplicate it onto a permanent CD-R, and then finally rip it to an MP3. So I'll be back. Okay, when the CD is finished, when you're finished recording both sides, you want to finalize your recording. So you want to press the finalize button on your CD recorder and then tell it you're sure, and it's going to record a table of contents for you. That's a very important step. Without finalization, your computer won't recognize this as a completed disc. So you have to finalize. Okay, so come with me to the computer room. And this is a disc that I recorded earlier of that album. It's already a finalized version, so we're going to use that one. What we want to do now is duplicate it. So you want to put it in your computer, and you want to run a CD duplication program. The one I use is Roxio, very common piece of software. And you want to insert your disc, and you want to wait for Roxio to recognize it. So that's what it's doing now. It's looking for it. It's going to take a few seconds. Okay, here it goes. It says reading. Still says reading. And now it says no lookup information has been found. Do you want to submit information? Just click no. You don't need to do that. All we want to do is click copy disk and then click start. So now what it's going to do is read a copy of that CD-RW into memory, and then we're going to take a blank CD and record a copy of it. So when I come back, I'll show you what to do with the CD copy. Okay, we have finished making a copy of our CD-RW onto a permanent disc, a CD-R, and labeled it. I wrote James Moody, 1958, Last Train from Overbrook LP recording, so that I know that this CD is a copy of an LP that I actually own. So 'tis legal. So now I want to, now I can listen to this in the car or in any CD player, but I want to make an MP3 copy. So let's fire off Windows Media Player. And you're probably familiar with converting a CD to an MP3. I'll show you anyway. Take the CD that you've made. Oh, and by the way, the erasable disc that I originally recorded onto can be reused. That's why I use erasables. So you only need a handful of them. So I've put the permanent CD in now, and I'm waiting for Windows Media Player to present it to me. Okay, I put it in Windows Media Player, and of course it starts playing right away, and it recognized it. It brought me in the cover art, brought me in all the song titles. So at this point, I can just click the Start Rip button. And you see it's grayed out here. Well, that's because I've already done it earlier. So this album's already been ripped to my library. But at this point, you could do the same thing. And if you have a more obscure album that it doesn't recognize the cover art when you put it in, you can right-click on it and click Find Album Info. And you can type in the name of the album here and click Search. And when you find the album you want, you can fill in all the details. And once it finds the details, go ahead and click Start Rip. And when it's done ripping, you will then have in your Windows Media Library or iTunes, if that's what you use, you will have a copy of this album. Let's look up James Moody. There it is. It's in my library now. So at this point, I could click the Sync button right here, and I could connect a device like an MP3 player, and I could synchronize that album, and I would have a portable copy. So that's pretty much the process I use. Again, thanks for joining me. This is Bill Breeden, and you have a good day.